Okay, at this time, if everyone will rise and we'll have an invocation in place. Commissioner Ray is going to lead us in an invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for our citizens of Gates County. Thank you for the government that surrounds our citizens and our colleagues. We pray that each day will bring us proven advantages to the county and for all that are involved. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll call the meeting, Board of Commissioners, December 4th, 2017, and we will turn it over to our county manager for the election of the chair and vice chair.
I would like to open nominations for the position of Chair of the Gates County Board of Commissioners.
I would like to nominate Ms. Linda Hopper to serve as chairman of the Gates County Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that motion.
I'll make a motion that the nomination be closed on said Monday.
I'll second that.
Okay, nominations have been closed. All in favor of Linda Hopper being chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I'd like to open nominations for the position of vice chair of the Gates County Commissioners.
I will nominate Mr. Jack Owens to be vice chair. And I'll second that motion.
I'll make a motion that the nomination be closed on said Monday.
I'll second that motion too.
Thank you. Nominations have been closed. All of those in favor of Mr. Jack Owens being vice chair of the Gates County Board of County Commissioners, say aye. Opposed?
Okay, at this time, we move to the approval of minutes for November 1st, 2017, and November 20th, 2017. Are there any corrections?
Madam Chairman, there were two noted editorial corrections. And I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved with those corrections.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve as corrected.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, a second has been done. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay, moving on to the agenda adjustments. Are there any adjustments in the agenda? I have none.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, do we have anyone signed up for unannounced delegations? Well, this is moving right along. Announced delegations, no one has signed up or have called in to be put on the agenda. Okay, administrative report.
This is the manager's report for October 20th and November the 17th. Excuse me. Courthouse roof. If you notice today, parking is at a premium. The work on the courthouse roof scheduled to begin today. They have been bringing in their equipment, and the work is scheduled to be completed by Friday, February the 9th, 2018. So until that time, parking in the lower lot will be disrupted during the construction period. School construction, the Board of Education received plans for Central Middle School. Commissioners approved the need-based school grant application in the amount of $2.5 million, with all the money being used for new construction. County audit is not complete. Based upon conversations between the school board chair Felton, Chair Hopper, Jay Hawks, Ted Cole, Davenport, and myself, we anticipate the earliest the county can appear before the LGC for loan approval is February of 2018. The MAPS group conducted employee interviews, and a report will be provided in late January to the commissioners, to the county manager, and then to the commissioners. Payroll and finance will begin training on Edmunds software in December, and the utilities will begin training in February of 2018. On October the 25th, the RPO met and approved grants for pedestrian plans for Elizabeth City and Hyde County. They also approved alternate criteria for the prioritization of projects and division needs. The Albemarle Regional Planning Organization supports the key regional transportation initiatives which are listed as follows. To ensure funding for future interstate I-87 from Hampton Roads region in Virginia to Raleigh, North Carolina. Continue to support additional permanent sources of funding for new and replacement ferry vessels and support vessels. Seek methods to increase current level of state dredging funds to maintain year-round free and clear navigational channels. Seek methods to increase the current level of North Carolina Department of Transportation Division 1 maintenance funds. Ensure funding for widening of highways and needed bridge replacements along hurricane evacuation routes, and continue to support the rotation of key RPO and DOT division staff throughout the state on the spot work group to ensure that all RPOs and DOT divisions are represented equitably. On October 30th, I attended the School of Government course on budgeting for public schools, and Dr. Williams and Ray Felton were also in attendance. Do you have any questions?
On the roofing thing, it's going to be such a long period of time, to February. Do we extend a courtesy call to Mr. Brickhouse at Batesville Baptist, just to let him know? He may be thinking today that it's just court or something like that, but we can just do that as a neighborhood thing. Thanks, ma'am.
I know at the last meeting, Mrs. Webb came forward about the curfew. Have we done anything as the attorney or the sheriff?
We've not talked to the sheriff or the attorney, however, there is a curfew that is in place in Chelan County, and one of their deputies did respond after we found it, and they said actually he had forgotten about it. It's still on the books. They've not had to implement it or take anyone in, but that they did have a problem several years ago with the same issue that's taking place now, and they did have to use that ordinance at that time on some young people. So that one has been vetted. If you would like for us to review that one and send it out for you to review.
I would think to run it by the attorney and the sheriff, and for us, maybe we could take it up at next meeting.
Could be, maybe a good start.
Good start on that. As I was reading through the minutes, I remember that part of it. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like for the county manager kind of give us the grade for the Edmunds software. What is that encompass that we're not doing now?
It encompasses quite a bit more. It's more user-friendly, which is a very important thing for the staff who use it every day. It is a newer software. It will report some items in live time, real time, which is not being done at this point in time. So, Jody, is there anything else you want to add?
It's comprehensive. That's one of the main features that I like about it. I mean, it's like you said, real time. I will be able to see data in any area today, rather than look for reports to do journal entries.
All right, current comment, what are we dealing with right now?
Logics.
Logic. Is that just going to be for payroll and finance? Or?
No, Edmunds will be for payroll, for finance and utilities. Software for taxes, Bitech, and they've already, I know Kathy's probably going to mention that later, they've already started some conversions. We've started conversions, there's just not been training. Software for tax, they've already done training, and we also have new software for inspections that they are currently using already.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions for the manager? Okay, moving on. I believe Mrs. Lane, you're next. Finance, tax.
Good morning, congratulations, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, for the working meeting and the coming year as well as all the board. We have an opportunity to It was, yes, sir. We got one of our mortgage lender payments in, of course, and of course.
They double pay them, somehow.
Yes, indeed. And of course, as we approach our busy time from now until January, naturally, with everybody, coming by to see us and posting those payments, yeah.
Is that
Okay.
close?
Go ahead.
Is that close to the percentage that we had last year? Unless we put that in there this year.
It is, yes, sir. We'll post that in January, the prior years, which you're referring to. As we get into January 18, we'll have a more comparative, reflection, if you will, of percent collected. So, yes, ma'am.
How many counties do we have with Zacchaeus, and I see that we did collect more money?
Yes, ma'am. As far as actual open accounts, we have about 85 open. 250 have been settled as of actually 2012. Now, we go back to the history of Zacchaeus, of that assignment, if you will, since October of 2012. So we have about 85 open, and that is also from our last batch that we submitted that the board approved from last year. So we're making good progress. We've got some good response from that.
Just one other observation. The $74,923.45 return checks. And I see total collected for the month, $2 million. I didn't add this, but I mean,
Actually, that's fire fees. Commissioner Jordan, your fire fee total is $74,923.
oh my goodness.
You're one line.
Yeah, well,
Yes, sir, and that is representative of all the core fire fees, if you will. We don't really have districts, we have the fees a lot, if you will, so yes, sir. Yeah, that would be quite kind of difficult into the Christmas holidays. Yes,
That's what I said, I went
I took a little off there.
Okay, I believe we have some refunds to consider.
that is correct. This would be the 55 of those mortgage company refunds that we typically do on a cumulative spreadsheet with CoreLogic and state employees for local government credit union, if you will. That total $10,894.84. These are overpayments. The taxpayer obviously paid, and the payment was received from the lending institution.
Okay, we have a motion.
Well, did you say it was $10,000?
It's actually here in your book.
Oh, okay, in here, okay. Madam Chairman, I'll motion that we approve these refunds presented to us by tax office. Excuse me.
Have a second?
I'll second the motion, Madam Chairman.
Any discussion? Here none. All those in favor of approving the refunds to the designated individuals on our sheet in the amount of $10,894.84. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, Kathy, this gap piece.
The other refund request that we submitted.
Okay, for tax, okay, or at DMV. Okay, DMV. Okay.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, request for refund for DMV, an amount of $141.50. If you look at the paperwork, all the paperwork is there, well documented. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman, for request for refund number 1. Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for the request for refund 1. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of refunding $141.50 to the taxpayer for the DMV, so please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Now you can go to gap.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Can you,
I did provide a cumulative list this month. Now, if anything that the board would like to see that is different, I know you get several spreadsheets, not only from the tax department, but other departments. If you wanted to see that breakdown any differently, by all means, we've got an opportunity It lists the taxpayers with the actual gap billing that will be done. Those bills will be generated latter part of this week for those individuals. We will be using some of the Bitech software now, we mentioned that we're on board with now, with formatting those bills. Again, I've provided totals, and also totals what we're not going to bill. And anything less than $2 by the resolution by the board, we don't bill out. So I kind of gave you a snapshot of that as well. And again, that's for those individuals, based on the period of time that vehicle was parked in the yard, we created those bills. We're getting less than, I'll say, 30% response for payments so far. Just to give the board some idea of what we're billing out and what we've been able to collect and have those people come by and see us, because we can't block the vehicles. There's no method for us to block the vehicles as in the past. They're still going to be able to get a sticker and pay their taxes and probably, have this laying about, if you will, and not pay that bill. So there is no block and allocate or put on any vehicle. I kind of make the board aware of that. So we're trying to be creative and collect those, if you will.
Okay, thank you for your effort. But so far, we're doing it by, the way we're doing it has proved to be pretty successful. I mean, the DMV report.
Oh, yes, with, you're right, yes, ma'am, because, first of all, nobody, is derelict with DMV. They typically, are not, writing bad checks to DMV when they go for, their sticker and paying the tax. That collection rate is well over probably 98.95% with DMV. Yes, indeed. When they started that in 2013, collect the tax and that.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the job, and I know it's a busy time, but collect those taxes for us.
Oh, yes, indeed. And I do want to mention, we did go live on Friday with Bitech in the collections portal only. Keep in mind, we're going to send out listing abstracts later this month in Bitech. The next in line is the CAMA appraisal land records. And we'll do one final pull from Keystone February 18th. That's going to pull all the final data from land records, the estate files, if you will. And then we're looking at going totally live with Bitech. That's in all facets in March of 18. But we are live with collections. We are no longer doing parallel dual entry. I want to thank my staff, Betty, Shelley, Lori, for doing that. We entered 2 systems, balance in 2 systems, closed out in 2 systems. A marvelous job by them.
So now just doing one system.
And that is correct, collections, and we're going to get those abstracts generated. And we did that for the reason that everything revolves around collections naturally, getting that money coming in. That was the most key at the year end. The next is, of course, the abstracts of personal property in the next couple of weeks, and then, of course, our CAMA follows suit.
Will the reports that you give us, will that be the same format, or will there be some new format?
There'll be some opportunity. Right now, we are able to pull that data accordingly from Bitech. Now, I would be willing to send some samples to the board if they would like to see a different version of the monthly report. Some things are too much information, or if you want to refine that. Perry Brown with Bitech, he does have some recommendations on how to maybe present some things that some other counties use. Certainly, I can send.
I think we would be open to looking at all style reports, what all counties are receiving in theirs.
Okay.
Because, helpful.
And more concise,
Yeah,
and,
more.
yes, indeed, I can get that to the board.
So
coming weeks.
I would think everybody agree with that.
We'd like to see something else for what?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and, all the data is there. It looks different, format's different, but there's nothing that we can't provide. Perry's pretty elaborate, and the system is such we can do that, so I'll get those samples sent out to you.
We would appreciate that.
Okay.
One of the good things that we currently have is the highlighting, the shading, the different colors and stuff like that.
Right.
That's great. Ms. Hopper, I would like to comment just for the audience that year-to-date collections for the year 2015 are $10,509.10. So we still are chasing that money down.
Oh,
And thank you for staying on top of
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely, because every summer we lose a year, so we're tackling those older bills and reminding people, and phone calls, letters, follow-up, mailings, if you will, so, yes, indeed.
And also, the deadline for 2017 taxes is January
Yes, sir.
January 5th.
Yes, without interest, that is correct. Thank you for that reminder, yes, as we approach busy season, yes, sir.
Yeah, because the sixth is on Saturday.
Yes, that's right, yes, ma'am. So,
Okay. Well, we all know that tax and death are the two things they always
oh my
do.
goodness, that's quite appropriate, yes, ma'am.
But anyway, thank you for your
Okay,
report.
thank you.
And I'd like to ask a question too. Are you having many challenging citizens calling as pertaining to the revals? I still get an occasional call. In fact, I got two this month.
Well, we get some stragglers because they've gotten their bill and they finally realized what they're being taxed on. So we suspected that would be the case. It's unlike when you get that notice, it's not a bill, so not much attention is paid, but we finally get that bill. A few questions. Some, of course, ask, why did it go down? Well, why was the value decrease? They're asking that question. But a few, yes, sir. We try to answer those individually and visit the property if I need to, and a case-by-case scenario, certainly. So,
Roger that. Do a number of them come in to challenge that, or?
I've only had maybe 3 or so actual office visits. Some others are, phone calls and questions as to what, took place, and they don't remember really getting the notice or what it really entailed. Despite, we tried to advertise in the paper, of course, and put some things on the website as a means of education. But a few, not very many. It's kind of tapered off, if you will. Yeah. But we suspect that.
My most recent barrage came from the Hazleton Township, so I didn't know if that rang any bells.
Okay, no, sir, not in that direct vicinity, but they can always call if they do have a question. Certainly, we can always do that case-by-case visit, and, yes, sir.
Thank you.
People realize what the taxes are when they begin to write that check.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
What, did I get this last year? I know. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I know it's a busy time, y'all.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, any other department reports that we need to?
I am, it's one of my pet observations.
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of 15 of the revenue statement report.
Gotcha. Page 3
Yes.
of the revenue.
Yes, 3 of 15. I always like to see that miscellaneous revenue come in.
That is the FEMA money that I reminded you about in the last meeting.
How much less?
Between the two, it was about $120,000.
Right, and that is to be used for.
That FEMA money will be allocated back to each of the departments where that money came from. So, for example, the $50,000 that was used for the repairs for both of the Honey Pot and Elm 32, that money will be reallocated back to the 61 fund for Timmy's accounts.
So basically all of it go back to the water department.
The majority of it, but not all of it. There will be money that goes back to customer service, to the sheriff's office, to inspections, to the water department, soil and water, and a little bit to building and grounds.
And of course, we still have not heard, the insurance payment, the insurance line item though, so.
That insurance number is not really going to change, but we are going to divide it and put it into each department so that each department does know what their department costs the county as far as property, workers' comp, and vehicle.
Good to know, and good for the departments to know as well, to remind them. Okay, any other questions that the board has for any of the departments? Okay, we have, we do have the parade coming up. I'm going to remind everyone, it's at 3 o'clock. We do have a car or a truck or a pickup, it's not pickup.
Well, depends on how many people are.
Well, we have discussed it. Mr. Jordan says he can come, and I guess I will be there. So, he can ride up front if we have a pickup. It's easier for me to throw. I don't want to damage any more vehicles.
I can't use my quarterback on this.
Okay, so we will, we'll be there at 3 o'clock, I guess, and you're going to be there. Okay, we'll take one for the team, as I'm out there freezing. I know my Christmas present for these guys will be bigger.
I will be there. I think I missed one quite a few years, but I have a wedding that I need to attend. Otherwise, I'll be there.
Okay, moving along, we had no public hearings. Going to the old business, the historic courthouse.
To date, I do not have a definitive answer as to when the work will actually begin. What James Andrews told me about a week and a half ago was it was still dependent upon a few projects that his crews are completing. He has insisted, he is hoping that one of his crews will be finished mid-December so that they can come and begin demolition of the wing and get at least some of it done before Christmas. He does know that the mason will not be available until late January, that he feels between the holidays and the end of January will be enough time for his crews to finish previous projects and come to demolish the west wing. They are going to save what they can, and we do have a place for that to be stored.
Okay, because of the mantles and.
Right.
Wonder what the, wonder if there would be a need for us to talk with the town about a temporary closure of the street up there. I mean, I don't know if it would be necessary, but it might be, it might be something we could be looking into.
And I can ask James if he would like, I know he has expressed some concerns about the small work area. I can ask him if that would help, because I know that would be something else I need to let Mr. Rickhouse know, that no one will be able to park behind the church, behind the courthouse once demolition begins, because of the equipment that's gonna be over there.
Yeah, and they wanted to just have a detour in case.
They're gonna have one of those construction containers that are gonna require by
Yeah,
statute.
just put debris in.
And that will put it right there next to the job.
To ask
And,
no, Bill Winslow.
yeah, tell them that, I would say tell them that we anticipate it being an issue for, product delivery and demolition takeaway stuff.
The debris, and that
And
sidewalk would have to be
safety as
closed.
well. You know, they'll probably be required to put up a 8-foot chain link fence along that road. Keep stuff from falling into the
He
street.
hasn't mentioned that, but he's checking into everything.
Yeah, I mean, they probably already know that. That
Certainly, we
wouldn't
need
surprise me.
to make sure that we are concerned about public safety and also for their safety, to have room to operate efficiently.
Have there been any investigation on grants available?
I did talk to Claudia Denny. She worked for North Carolina Preservation, like Stedman and Covington, but she is checking into to see if there's some money available, and she has, I talked to her prior to Thanksgiving, and I'll follow that, well, I was going to give her a couple of weeks, and I'll follow up and see if she knows, because she's worked with all these different agencies over, like, 30, 40 years.
Could be one of those scenarios too, though, where if you're gonna receive a grant or at least make application, you might have to do it before you actually start
That's what I'm
the project, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get.
Concerned.
And I know that Covington, the deadline is March, and I think it's going to have to go for a nonprofit. and that might be something with that, we need to do that, you might need to contact the Historical Society and Mrs. Walker to come in and see about that. If it has to go through a nonprofit.
Can we get a report back on that, at our next meeting? Just so we know. Well, just on, contact with Ms. Claudia.
No, yeah, well, Claudia, then I'll talk to Penny and, see, because I think Claudia said a lot of those had to go through nonprofits. She did not, and she was going to check to see if they would give grants to governments.
Is she part of the North Carolina Preservation Society?
She was for years, she's just resigned, or retired, and I.
I know they give out grants, North Carolina Preservation Society gives out
Yes.
grants for them.
And she was talking about the National Trust, you know, she was going to investigate that.
What I've seen, there is no money for that.
Really.
National Trust.
But she was going to check with some different people, and she said, like, she knew someone on the Covington, she thought we would be sure that we could get that. Okay, so I'll check up with her, and you contact the Historical Society.
And one other thing, even though this probably should have come under announcements, I would like to draw your attention to the 2018 meeting schedule that's included. There are 2 dates that are not our typical dates due to holidays. The first is January 17th, that is a Wednesday. Our typical meeting date would be the 15th, which is Martin Luther King. And then July, the meeting will be Monday, July the 2nd. The 4th is a holiday.
Do we need a motion to approve these meetings?
We passed that resolution last year that as long as we make the announcements that are changed.
Well, that's certainly understandable, with Martin Luther in January, King's birthday in January on that Monday, and also 4th of July. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. New business, code enforcement work section request. Good morning. Good morning.
I had a request from November 8th from our code enforcement officer, Dave Cowan. He would like for us to take a look on our proposed amendment to regulate junkyards and junk or abandoned motor vehicles. Hopefully during January 2018, we could have a work session to look these over. And I am Dave Cowan, see if he answers some questions. He did some research and has some recommendations, and we'll talk to you about them.
Okay, Mr. Kelly. What, Kelly?
Yeah, I was looking over this ordinance. I get from time to time, I get people calling me, asking me to deal with junk or abandoned motor vehicles on their property. And then looking over the ordinance, first of all, it clearly, and y'all have a copy of it, the next to the last page, it clearly states that it's the sheriff's office, that's the sheriff's office responsibility to enforce the ordinance. But that wasn't really the driving force behind me making the suggestion. The driving force is the fact that they adopted, it's an ordinance to regulate junkyards and junk and abandoned motor vehicles. And if you look at the North Carolina statute 153A 132 and 153 132-2 of these was, .2 rather. There's no reference, that is the statutory authority that gives the Board of Commissioners the ability to adopt the ordinance to begin with. This 153A 132, where you all have your authority to adopt the ordinance. Nowhere in that ordinance does it talk about junkyards. I don't know how the junkyards, Mr. Freeman,
Got mingled in with the
I
other.
saw you smiling.
I concur.
Okay, all right, good, good. So I'd like, and nothing else, get rid of the junkyard part, and moreover, chapter, or North Carolina General Statute 2219 clearly states it is North Carolina Department of Transportation's responsibility to regulate junkyards within 1,000 feet of a public highway, secondary roads within 1,000 feet of any road that is used by normal traffic. So, and I don't know, I guess y'all could, sir?
Could you give us that statute again?
That's 20-219.11, and you have a copy of it in your stuff, I believe you do.
If I could just ask you to repeat that again, you say it's state's responsibility.
Yes, sir. Look,
within
that
1,000
statute,
feet.
yes, sir, that statute clearly says it's the North Carolina Department of Transportation's responsibility to regulate junkyards within 1,000 feet of a roadway.
State maintained highway.
Yes, sir. State or even secondary, even a county road. The way it's written, it sounds like anything short of a private road. Yeah.
You know, it's been my belief for a long time that anytime we can adopt the general statute and not try to add anything to it, not try to take anything away from it, we've got greater authority
Yes, sir.
from on high, I'll say, you know, because the state is, they go through, you know, we may go through 1 or 2 examples, they go through thousands of examples a year that needs to be updated or revised. I'm sure they do it. But you're interested in talking to us about our code enforcement and separating the cars in the backyard from the junkyard. Is that what
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just remove the junkyard altogether. So that's what if you read this, I don't, like I said, I have no idea why it's there to begin with. But get it out of there because it's not, you don't have statutory authority to include it under 153. The other issue is, it might be tempting to say, include the code enforcement officer into this, one of the people that can enforce this statute. The junk house or whatever, code enforcement officer can't because chapter, which one was it? One of them, you must be able to run vehicle information, license plate, VIN numbers, identify the last known owner of the motor vehicle, and notify them that their vehicle is in violation, that it's been towed, where it's been towed to, this, that, and the other. And the only people that have authority to access those files, DMV files, is actually managed through the State Bureau of Investigation Division of Criminal Information. They prohibit anyone other than law enforcement personnel from accessing those files. So I can't go to their communications and ask them to run a VIN or license plate number for me. So, in other words, the statute, I'm just trying to reinforce the fact that it's currently, in the state, the county ordinance, they identify the sheriff as the responsible agency to deal with the junk and abandoned motor vehicles. And that's for good reason. That's because he has the authority to run license plates and VIN information and contact the owners. Code enforcement has no authority to do that, to run that, to get that information.
If you had the authority, Commissioner Freeman, how about the availability?
In reading, and to back up a little bit with that, what Mr. Collins said too, I recall when I read this, I was not familiar with, never had anything to do with junkyards, other than find some stolen property or a dead body. However, it was so unclear to me as to why the code enforcement's not allowed. Of course, DCI would not let you do that.
That's right.
But their definition of DOT, you know, with the responsibility of 1,000 feet or whatever from the highway, wonder what, if DOT has that ability to run VIN numbers. I didn't read that anywhere in the
Yes, that's a good question. I don't know how that's done. But I know that, like I said, if we take the junkyard portion out of this ordinance altogether, just simply remove it. It doesn't need, it shouldn't be there, probably should have never been there. But my second point that I was trying to make is the fact that the ordinance identifies the sheriff as the person that shall deal with junk and abandoned motor vehicles. And the good reason for that is this information that has to be gotten about ownership. And I don't have the authority to get that information. And frankly, if I went to the sheriff and said, can you run this information for me? Should he say, okay, I think he'd be disseminating. And I don't think he would even say it, but he can't disseminate that information to someone outside of law enforcement. So I don't know.
It really does tie your hands.
It's not completely tied. There's actually nothing this job can do to enforce those. Now, I don't know, maybe it was never intended for this job to enforce that ordinance. But I think over time it has happened, because the first day I was here, well, it was immediately, yeah, I got a junk car that was on Kelly Fork Road, a junk car complaint. And I went out there and talked to the people thinking I had the authority to deal with it, whereas in fact I don't have the authority.
Well, go ahead.
If you cite them, in other words, you just write, this is in violation of Gates County ordinance, paragraph, whatever, and you have 30 days to rectify, 14 days, whatever, and they don't do it, then you would just turn it over to the sheriff. So, that just seems to be just a process of logistics matter.
Yes, sir, you're right, we could do it that way, absolutely, and I have done it. I haven't turned anything over to the sheriff, but it could be done that way, absolutely could.
Well, I do know of counties and municipalities who do not permit junk cars in residential things. I know at the beach, they're very tight about that. Back to junkyards, I wasn't on the board, but I think I was on the planning board, and I think we had a lot of junkyards, and I think the junkyard ordinance was passed to try to deal with highly unsightly, and they were contaminating soil and water, and it was passed along those lines.
A number of them.
And to try to get someone to clean up their ways.
It was hazardous material.
And the way I see what you're asking is you want to get rid of the word junkyard.
Yes, sir, take any reference to junkyards out of the ordinance.
That whole thing.
Amend it.
Because 153A, 132A gives the commissioner's power, and paragraph A, if you look on page 1, it says, removal and disposal of abandoned and junk motor vehicles, abandoned vessels. Grant of power, a county may by ordinance prohibit the abandonment of motor vehicles on public grounds and private property within the county's ordinance making jurisdiction and on county-owned property wherever located. And, that tells me, it's a matter of words, if it's a junk motor vehicle, whether or not it got 20 or 2, we have the authority to put out this ordinance.
Yes, sir.
To that, but the word junkyard, I know we've got one now, a major one in the county that's filling up, so I get a few comments on that. I don't know if anybody else is getting any, but I know that's probably going to be something you're going to have to deal with later. But so we're talking about the word junkyard versus junk motor vehicles, or so it's just a matter of.
Yeah, clearly there are two different things. I want to stand corrected on one statement. I think I gave y'all 2219 as the ordinance, the state statute governing junkyards. Did I do that to you all, just verbally?
219,
Junkyard Control Act?
you said it's state responsibility.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. It's 136-114.1, and that's also included in your package. I just looked at the wrong number when it,
136.
136-141.
141.
That's the one that is the junkyard control act, which clearly puts the responsibility to enforce that act on the North Carolina Department of Transportation.
41.
So we got, yeah, so
That
that's,
was enacted, what, 1967?
at 1967, yes, sir. So I don't know how it ever ended up in there, but that's just one of those things each county has to worry about, right?
Well, I don't know, we need, if we want something done, it's just, we have to go to DOT, don't we?
So we gotta take a look at that ordinance. I don't see the full explanation of the ordinance in here. I see the title of it.
136.
Well, you may could adopt something, but you still could not adopt it under 153, because it doesn't give you the authority to include junkyard.
And then it doesn't give your division that authority either.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's probably something we need to take a look at, Madam Chairman.
Yeah, because I think we need to sit down and look and see who has responsibilities for a variety of things. But I really do think it came through, concerns of citizens about the junkyards, that were coming up. But we certainly need to take a look at it. We understand your predicament. We know the sheriff has the responsibility, has the authority to, buy junkyards, but maybe we just need to sit down and look and try to figure out, and we'll probably need to make adjustments.
I'd like to ask Commissioner Jordan a question that you referred to the junkyard filling up on 158.
Well, I guess a comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm asking is that we need to look back at their permit.
I don't know when that was issued, and there have been some permit, if it's over, if it's 6 or 7 years, those can be destroyed.
Okay, because it could have been classified as a recycling center and not a junkyard. So we need to keep that in mind.
Well, I know when it came up in planning, it was the one of the problems was 13, Highway 13, that, along there, the junk was in the woods and all around, and that was, there was a discussion about that.
In Black Mingo Road, I think,
Yeah, Black Mangle Road was, and all that were kind of just flowing, and taking up more and more area. So, yes, we will look at that. We'll put that on our docket.
And in the event that we do as a body, continue to look at eliminating the junkyard, we would need to be working with you hand in hand to see what other needs to be tweaked and still add for you to, for enforcement values.
Well, I bet you asked for a work session.
County
So,
manager did, I think, actually. Yes, ma'am.
a work session. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, I'd be in favor of a work session. So one afternoon,
And what you
3
need,
o'clock.
and be thinking about, of course, I know you have already, and far in advance, but what you need from us in order to make it pliable, make it work.
Say maybe something like from 3 to 5.
They're longer than 35. Look, I could log to get, bring it. So do I have a motion that we will schedule a work session to, for this issue on junkyards and junk cars or abandoned motor vehicles, to look at our ordinances and try to make them more easier to use and have clear lines of authority.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we task the county manager with working up a date for a 2-hour work session on code enforcement.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I recommend that we look at our night meeting on Wednesday, January 17th, and then have 2 hours before that.
That was going to be my recommendation in the past. That January meeting, second meeting, has typically had very little on the agenda. If you would like to meet from 5 to 7.
Good for me.
Madam Chairman, we have not voted on
Yeah.
the
Okay.
road for discussion.
Okay, would you want to amend that to suggest the, January the
So,
17th
5 o'clock.
at 5 o'clock?
Madam Chairman, I'll amend my, motion, to state, that, this board meet Wednesday, January 17th at 5 p.m. prior to our regular meeting for a period of 2 hours or whatever necessary leading up to that meeting.
Maybe.
Yeah. For code enforcement.
Does the person who did second?
That's all right with you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay,
As far as I
motion
know, I better check my calendar.
okay, let's
I
move
don't know
on.
how date that is.
Let's, do the amendment. All those in favor of the ordinance section be at on January 17th, 2018, excuse me, at 5 o'clock, prior to our regular scheduled meeting. All those in favor of that, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, okay. 9, we'll vote on the, well, we amended that, but we don't have to vote on that separately. Because we had already.
Well, I would do my
Yeah.
motion and restate.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure we did, but we want to say we did.
Okay.
Okay, is that clear with you? Is that fine with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll see you on the 17th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, moving right along, it is amazing.
Much that.
Okay, county manager has a recommendation.
Yes, based upon recent conversations with the MAP group and the commissioners, I recommend the 3 meter reader positions be moved to the water department effective January 1st, 2018.
Okay. Now, in the map report due in January,
It would be the end of January.
and are you requesting that this is to be effective in January 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that that's gonna help the water department facilitate, making more repairs, and having access to, the people to be able to regulate traffic, whatever they need to do more repairs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, and it will also allow some additional field work and updating of various documents that have not been updated since the acquisition of the Gatesville water system to also be completed.
Now, as far as, meter reading, that's not gonna affect our meter reading timeliness and so forth.
No,
Okay.
So we are talking about moving, how many meter readers do we have? 3. And
All
yes, that is all.
to, into the water department, how many days of a month do they read meters?
Currently, it takes about 2 weeks, is that 2.5, depending on the weather, Diane?
Correct.
So, really, we're looking at that the water department maybe will have an extra week and a half to 2 weeks to work on their lengthy water leaks.
Correct.
I would like to see a list of water leaks that we are putting on the backlog.
Okay, I know that the utilities, customer service has been keeping a list, and then I know that they then submit that on blue paper as the flag, so to speak, and send it to Timmy. And can you print that out, Diane, and then I'll send Timmy a message, and he can print his list as well?
I
Okay.
think we need a master list.
We do.
Well, that's what she has, and then she sends it to Timmy.
Right, and we just need to pull back and tell him what weeks he's fixing when, because he's not reporting that one.
Because that is the number one phone call I get every month, or in the grocery store, or at the post office. And it's going on too long, I'm sorry. And I've contacted all counties, and they don't have the backlog we have. So,
I as well, Mr. Chair.
you do that too?
I get those calls.
And I want a master list, and I want to see action on the
I think this recommendation will help that action.
I hope so.
I move that we accept that, our county manager's recommendation.
I second that motion.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded, any discussion?
This is a permanent move or is it temporary?
It was permanent,
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I'll ask some effective date on that.
January 1st, 2018.
And I would I would think that we need to look at this after 6 months and see how it is working. That we get a report back in 6 months, see how this is working.
Madam Chair, we want Commissioner Pelt to update his motion to include that.
That'll be fine, we can include an update, probably an update report from the customer service and from Timmins Water Department. An update from both sides to see how everything's working in 6 months.
And get it so that we can see. Okay,
Second.
who seconded
I
that?
did.
Do you agree that a report
I did.
about how it's working? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes 5-0. But the master list is not, we're not waiting for 6 months for that. We want that next meeting.
I think she can get that to you before the next meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, she could probably print it and I can bring it to you at your 1 o'clock meeting.
Probably the difference in that master list today and the master list next June will be the report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, budget amendment. Morning.
Good morning. The first budget amendment is to budget for a Homeland Security grant for the SAR training for search and rescue in the amount of $13,000. It's budget amendment 14.
Just, moving it from one slot to another slot.
This is actually a grant.
It's
The
a
grant, okay, it is putting it on the
Yes,
line, excuse me. I
Madam Chair,
apologize.
I make a motion that the grant approve the Homeland Security grant in the amount of $13,000. Second.
A motion's been made and properly seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, amendment 14, budget amendment, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
The other is laying at your desk.
Okay. The other one is budget amendment 15, it's about fund balance appropriated, go ahead.
It's to carry forward capital reserve funds from fiscal year 17 for the 911 center project, which is still in progress. It's just to carry forward the balance from 17 to 18.
Okay. This is carry forward, kind of clean up your books.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second that motion.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, citizens' comments. We don't have any, well, we have citizens here, but also county employees. But you can talk. Here, having none, we have some commissioners' comments, starting at the end with Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think about our mission as commissioners to our citizens and certainly to our county employees, and which involves not only the core values that we as colleagues work on, but also teamwork, and we focus on one another, believe it or not, and some of the telephone calls I receive from citizens are both positive and adverse. And to me, that innovation that they evidently, really our citizens are paying attention to, subsequently helps us better serve you and serve our employees too. So we want to achieve greater results by doing that and having these attendants, if you will, and certainly our county employees to get back to the citizens. So, as I look at it, and as the newest member, the proven past that the fellow commissioners, as well as those that have gone on before us, has given us a greater future, and I really do see that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Looking like, we have everybody is on the county staff, and I appreciate all the work that every one of them is doing, and the fact that you can all work together to get things done and not be working against each other, but working with each other, and it makes everything run a lot more smoothly. Thank you. I hope everyone can relax and have a very Merry Christmas.
I too did all the comments that's been made. Very appreciative of all that the county supporters do. Kind of happy holiday. I do want to mention to the board that I have been approached with deep concerns about water runoff in the county, as far as ditching, maintaining the ditches in a manner where we don't have spot flooding. I was approached by a citizen, they live off of Highway 37 by the mill,
Gates Custom.
Gates Custom Milling. And they said when it rains, we get a good rain, that the water comes up to the steps on their house, coming into the house. It hasn't come in yet, but its potential is there. I think it would be a good idea if we could get our county manager to have our Department of Transportation send an engineering representative here and just give us an update on what the ditching requirements are for Gates County, how is the funding appropriated, and just make us aware of what can be done to kind of help this watershed issue that we're dealing with. And I think it affects just about all the county. Many of the citizens are concerned about that. So I would like to see our county manager, see if they can come in, get someone to come in at one of our meetings, probably in the next couple of months if possible, and just give us an update on how they deal with the water runoff issues in the county and ditching, and what can we do as commissioners to try to have that situation.
I believe it's February, but DOT has already requested to be on the agenda for an annual report, so they may cover that.
All right,
I think it's February.
I think it's February.
that we're already scheduled for that. All right, well, that's good, and we certainly want to include on our comments and things requested on water runoff and ditching and that sort of thing.
And I think that is a problem throughout northeastern North Carolina that I hear echoed with all commissioners. And there's little line in
Well, it
time.
used to be a time, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I mean, you had crews out there, and I believe we used to use prisons as well, but you don't do that anymore.
Well, just to piggyback on that, Commissioner Jordan, if that's scheduled for February, you might also want to make some type of contact with the Army Corps of Engineers. If they're, in the past, I know they've been involved with drainage and things like that, so it might be another good contact. It is a safety issue, and we'll just get across the road pretty quick sometimes. Merry Christmas, everybody. We have a great Thanksgiving. I want to comment, and I've already acknowledged it to BJ, how well decorated the facility looks, and they are always accommodating to us when we come over here. And guess what? They're quickly hitting us when we come over here. So anyway, it's good to be here, and again, Merry Christmas.
Yes, I'd like to just thank my fellow commissioners for selecting me as sheriff again. I hope I can do a good job. My job is easy because I have a great group to work with, and we all work together, just as we want our county employees to do, is to work together for the benefit of all of us. And I know it's hard sometimes. Everybody's, personalities are different. Everybody can have good days. Sometimes we have some bad days. But I do appreciate the efforts you put forth and all that you do for the county. And certainly we are very appreciative. We have our county Christmas lunch on the 15th from 12 to 2. Certainly the commissioners, I think, will all be here. We certainly hope that you will pass along to your departments. We want to see you all here. It's a time to just relax and enjoy a few hours of holiday spirit. And everybody gets a lunch hour, so, there's no excuse from that point. As we look forward, always there are major issues concerning that we have to look to and trying to get things updated, and we're very pleased that we've got the map study coming tonight to see how we can become more efficient, our workforce. We also want to make sure that we are competitive as much as we can be with other counties, because we don't want to train people and then lose them. We want to keep you here in the county. And, we're not a wealthy county, and that's one of the problems we have. We're not Currituck or Dare, but we want to do the best we can for our workers. And that's true, I think that all of us want to do this best we can for you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy it. Tax, I know it's a busy season for you all, but thank you, because you get the money, and so that we can spend it. It's what did someone say, that the only thing we're good at is spending. I've heard that comment. I think I'm pretty conservative on county funds, but anyway. But listen, have a great Christmas season, a new year, and we'll hit the ground running in 2018. And it's a record, we have no closed session today. So we'll see you in January. Here, to adjourn.
So moved.